stated disclaimer. This is my second visit to the community. The initial visit that I paid to the community was to engage the ward councillors as well as community leaders. And we resolved on the fact that I will then come back with relevant stakeholders that have to do with the disrupted service delivery. And as much as it is evident and it's a daily lived experience, the fact that water is primary on our agenda. The objective of this particular undertaking was for me to establish a task team that will focus purely on the solutions that would work for this community. In our midst and in our presence, we have the Chief Operating Officer in the city of Johannesburg. We have the MMC of EISD, who is responsible for Jo'burg Water, for City Power, for Pick It Up, and for the environment. We also have the MD of Jo'burg Water. As alluded to, the meeting was meant to be a technical discussion. The residents in these communities are affected. And listening to politicians have debates around the issue that we are faced with is not a priority that I have. My priority is to rally decision makers who are going to be able to give you solutions that are felt on the ground in your daily lived experience. However, the meeting has got a broader audience. I am stating this on the basis that I understand the level of frustration that we are all faced with. But many of the concerns that you have been brought to my attention. And I have an appreciation of the conditions in which you are subjected to. Hence, I am here in a follow-up meeting as committed to the leaders and to the councillors. I'm stating this because I am surprised that there's media present and there's a wider audience, because it's not going to be a dialogue. This is a challenge that we need to tackle head on. And I had made a commitment that we will engage in a town hall discussion as a recommendation from one of the councillors. But my view was that let us deliver a solution first. People are coming to you in search of a solution. Answers are necessary so that you are prepared and you understand the status quo. But our communication should be underpinned by a process that is underway. And my view of the terms of reference that will guide the activities of the town hall or of the task team, my apologies, should be something that is limited, that is clear, and that is achievable within a short space of time. As we continue our engagements with national government, the objective of this meeting is to get members from the community actively involved so that they can experience our commitment. My commitment, in addition to that, which is overarching, is that we will not politicize service delivery. We will not do that. We are going to take what the community wants the forum to prioritize, and we are going to implement. You are present and you will serve as witnesses to the formation of this task team. I wished that I could be a member of the task team, but the city and the challenges in which it faces are vast in nature. So the MMCs that represent the executive mayor are the ones that are tasked with these responsibilities in different regions. There will be a briefing from the MD of Jo'burg Water to you in terms of the status of the challenge. But moving forward, there will be a site visit whereby members of the community will be part of in the task team. That was me registering a disclaimer. But I'd like to once again welcome you, and I'd like to acknowledge the MMC of EISD, the acting COO in the city, the MD of Jo'burg Water, the ward councillor, and ward councillors of neighboring communities. But most importantly, I'd like to acknowledge the members, the residents in the city of Johannesburg. So what I will do, I'm going to request the MMC to come in first. Following that, I will request the MD to give you a briefing on the status. Following that, I will then preside over the establishment of this task team. The engagement will be on the terms of reference because this meeting's objective is to derive a solution that we can all use as our point of reference. We will therefore agree, provide timelines for feedback, and we'll get inputs from the community at large. Let me introduce the MMC, MMC Jack Squale. Thank you very much, MMC.
Honorable Executive Mayor, the MD, thanks very much. The MD of Jo'burg Water, Mr. Mkwebo, various ward councillors present here from around the community. Let us also appreciate your presence here and forever being with us in this kind of meetings. Senior officials, City of Johannesburg, members of the media and residents. We must indicate that there is an effort from within our own administration to try and bring about solution to these problems. Some of the solutions obviously will have short-term and others need long-term solutions. Other problems will then mean that we must interact with the community better to try and bring about a means in which we can save water in Johannesburg and across Gauteng. In fact, the other issue will be that the city as government must invest in infrastructure development. especially with regard to water infrastructure in Johannesburg. And in fact, maybe perhaps Gauteng as a whole, because this issue also speaks about other municipalities such as Ikuruleni that are also highly affected by this problem. The problem is extended as far as Tshwane, which we all know. But I'm saying that as a city, EM, we are faced with the immediate debate amongst ourselves, how as a city we prioritize our own infrastructure project. One of it being, there's no any other way we can go about it. It's unavoidable that we must invest largely in water purification plants in Johannesburg, which we don't have. I'm saying we should do this, EM, because we must insulate the city from any negative impact that's happening at Rentwood. Whether it's a power failure or whatever happens, planned or unplanned shutdown affects city of Johannesburg very negatively. And it takes us give and take 2 to 3 weeks for us to recover, which is a time that you don't have. But I'm saying that because there's no any other alternative, Rentwater becomes the only distributor or supplier of water to Johannesburg. Hence, we find ourselves in this kind of situations. So I think we are trying by all means to recover. And I must indicate here that it's very costly for us to keep on providing water tankers and JoJo tanks that are roaming around. It comes at a cost. This thing can collapse even coffers of the city. We must think around how we bring about long-term solution. In my early morning discussion with MD, we discussed some of this. Part of it means that residents, we must engage in a process of saving water at all times. Secondly, it's about the issue that I mentioned earlier on of infrastructure development. Now, in our discussion, we tried to deliberate on what is the immediate solution to this. So we were hoping very well that rain must come, in fact, in Johannesburg for a week or more. But because during that time, people can't water their gardens, can't clean their pavements, and so on. Now the water usage becomes minimized, and we're able to recover some of the lost reservoirs in Johannesburg. But unfortunately, we can't rely on what should happen naturally. We must design means within ourselves to safeguard the interests of our residents of Johannesburg. He has indicated the EM that we are taking consideration of the well-being for all residents, more particularly those who are ratepayers in Johannesburg. It pains us a lot to see them having to suffer this to this extent. But I'm saying that EM, we have the political will. We just need to look around where we get money to invest in some of this infrastructure development. But I'm saying that we can only hope. We're recovering. Last week, we're sitting at 90%. Other areas, including Southeast, were beginning to recover. But when I arrived at home, it was the news. It said that another power failure at Rentwater. Then you struggle to sleep in that particular night. Then it reversed all our gains back to square one. So I'm saying that as residents and as councillors across various political parties, we can't politicize it as the EM has said, but let us invest in a huge water infrastructure program. That include, even if the highland areas like where we are, if it means that we must involve or invest in pumping system, let's do that. So that this area does not rely only on free flowing water from reservoirs and in towers. It has proven that it can, because it recovers very late across Johannesburg, which is South Hills, the area we are, and Commando System, Brixton, and all the way to. But I'm saying that is what must then inform our discussion, deliberations in various committees in council, including inside council itself, in how we prioritize budget-wise. But very shortly, we'll bring the MD to just give you the technicality, because of the meeting that they are held 2 times a day, every day with Rentwater. He will brief you some of those deliberations and what was discussed today morning. where are we recovering, where are we not recovering. Thanks very much. Oh, that one, that one. Is the same.
Thank you very much, EM and MMC and councillors, members of the community, and members of the media. Good afternoon. My name is Nchabeni Mkwebo. Oh, much closer. Okay. My name is Nchabeni Mkwebo, Managing Director of Johannesburg Water. I'm just going to highlight to you, focusing specifically in the area where we are, as well as South Hills, because I can see the councillors from around those areas, as to how the system works. And it's very important so that you can be able to understand our efforts. And not only our efforts, also you can be able to appreciate what is it that's required for the recovery of the system. And we really note that this issue has really been going on for too long. Because you'll recall, some of you, if you followed the media briefing that we had about 2 weeks back, where we really took the members of the media and the community of Jo'burg systematically, why are we finding ourselves where we are, where did it start and how? Because this issue, as you all are aware, that started towards the end of August.
Last and the year before. I'm sorry to interrupt. This has been going on for 3 years. Look on there, and you'll see. It's like it's been going on since 2020, just after COVID. And since then, the water has not been the same. We don't see anything. Everybody's got an excuse for every day of the week. Every day there's the same excuse for the same thing. It's a copy and paste. That is the truth. The sooner the people wake up and smell the roses, the sooner we'll get going. And if you fix Mayor's Hill water tower, that's half your problem solved. But nobody's even looking at it. The reason why they haven't fixed that, they ran out of money. Answer that question.
Let me proceed now. I will get to the point of Mayor's Hill Reservoir say. And unfortunately, I'll only comment from the Johannesburg Water point of view, because the reservoir is owned by Rand Water, not Johannesburg Water. I'll get to that. When I say this issue has been going on since end of August, I'm talking about this particular interruption that we are dealing with. The particular one that we're dealing with has been going on since end of August. In fact, it was triggered by the failure that has happened, power failure on the 24th. From there were a number of events that happened that were restricting the system from recovering. As you all are aware, that the water that we use in Johannesburg, and of course other metros and municipalities within Gauteng, we get that water from Rand Water. This particular area where we are is part of what we refer to Rand Water Pump Station Ekenhof, which then supplies water to Meadale Reservoir. And Meadale Reservoir supply water to our Crown Gardens Reservoir and Tower. And there's a context to this background that I'm giving, which will be important to understand where we are today in terms of recovery. Yes, in the last few days or last week or two, there are days that probably things were hopeful in that we'll get Crown Gardens Reservoir having good level in such a way that we open the outlet fully, we open the tower, but the function of that reservoir is 100% dependent on the level of Meadale Reservoir. As of this morning, if I start focusing on the this area. The Crown Gardens Reservoir, we were able to get it to almost 40% or so in the morning. We close it every evening and we open it in the morning so we can be able to supply. And we're able to start pumping water to the both towers so that we can supply. But however, we were still at the point that today we can't open it 100%. That's why the highline area of Ropeshem and other area, you'll find that they are street without water because we could only open it 80%. And I'll explain why we could only open 80% because our worry is that if we open it fully, we are going to lose that reservoir in a matter of few hours. And water tankering the entire community is even going to be more complex than water tankering the highline area. The issue as to why we could not open it to 100% and also as to why we can't be able to get to a point where we are fully recovered. As I've indicated, the Crown Gardens Reservoir is linked to Meadale Reservoir of rainwater. And that reservoir, for it to supply the required volume, because it's all about volume, the issue of balancing the demand and supply. For it to be able to supply the required volume, the Meadale Reservoir's rainwater needs to be at about 10 to 15% and up. Immediately, it drops less than 10%, the volume that we required to meet the demand for this community. We'll never get it. Why? Simply because, as some of you may be aware or know about how the hydraulics works, you need the head for you to be able to get the pressure that you require and to be able to push the necessary volume that you require. As of this morning, and these are the information that we exchange with rainwater on a daily basis. We have a meeting with them every morning where we interrogate things from their side. We share with them our frustration and how our system is. As of this morning, the rainwater reservoir, Meadale, which supplies the Crown Gardens, was sitting at 6%, which is why we could not really open the reservoir 100%. And you might have picked up also from their communication that was happening in the last few days or so, where they've talked about they'll be working on the issue of shifting the load from other area to assist in making sure that we get the system to recover. So what are we doing from Johannesburg side to assist them is that every day, as much as I'm talking about this particular reservoir, which we close it every evening so that we can have the necessary capacity to supply the next day. We are not only closing the reservoir that are affected, in this case, Crown Gardens. We are closing even the reservoir that are healthy simply so that we can assist rainwater from the point of getting their reservoir to start recovering. Because what's going to be difficult is for our system to recover as long as their reservoirs are still below the required level. Because what will happen is that we will never get that volume to come through. So we've shared with them information as that before I left the office, where we'll be closing 20 additional reservoirs tonight with the view that and of course we're closing, in the evening, we'll open again in the morning so that we can assist in getting the system to keep water back so that at least we can get to a point where this critical reservoir, which is what I've said, Meadale, can really start getting to that 10%, 50% plus, because that's what we require. In fact, in some of the days, in the past 2 weeks or so, there are a few days that we're able to get to that level, 15% or so. But once we get to that, that's what we need to maintain so that we can be able to fully get the system going. It doesn't help getting that 15% only today. Tomorrow, day after, you are back to square one where they're at 7% or so. So that's the reason why I've given you that context to say how the system works. I want to move to the issue of South Hills Tower so that I can also be able to touch on the issue of the Mass Hill. The South Hill Tower, let me move one step back. Historically, South Hill Tower which supplies the other side of the city, used to be supplied water from Mayor's Hill Reservoir. That's a rainwater reservoir for Mayor's Hill. If you know where the South Hill Tower is the river reservoir across the road. That reservoir was decommissioned because there were issues with the reservoir. And after it was decommissioned, the only way of getting water to that tower, of course, is through the bypass line or through the pipeline, which is now that reservoir is reliant or dependent on the XavierStreet reservoir for rainwater. That's why you'll hear us when we talk about South Hill Tower, always talk about XavierStreet, because the reservoir that was linked to it is out of a service for now. The issue is that with all these challenges that has happened, either from the failure of infrastructure that has happened, the issue of the demand that has increased and so on, the rainwater system, especially on the both Ekenhof and Palmy, they've been very low. I've shared with you the figures around the Meadale Reservoir. So if you look on the other side, the area which is supplies, or the system which supplies South Hills Tower, their reservoir has been running in the region of about 20%, in the main, in the last month or so. And what we require for us to be able to run that pump station in South Hills, for that pipeline which supplies water to that tower or to the pump station which then pumps to the tower, the reservoir for rainwater upstream must be at 30%. That's when there is enough head which then be able to create the necessary suction pressure for the pumps to be able to run. Otherwise, we try every day. I mean, Councillor now and then I send you a message, Councillor knows I send him a message now and then. He'll send a message very early in the morning. I'll even share with him to say the reservoir this morning for rainwater is 19%. Pump is tripping. I'll send him the video clip. My guys, they'll go there, open the test points so that they can even show us that there's nothing on the test point. When we start the pump is tripping. And of course, we need to be sensitive to infrastructure, because otherwise we end up burning motor if we try and run the pumps when we don't supposed to run it. So that XavierStreet reservoir, which the South Hills Tower is now dependent on it, must be at 30%. Yes, all other systems in Johannesburg that are supplied by XavierStreet directly, they'll be able to cope even when it's at 20%. But Mayor's South Hills, it won't, because that line doesn't got the necessary pressure that we need. Unfortunately, that's how hydraulics work, or that's how water engineering work. The issue is that, of course, when the Mayor's Hill Reservoir was in commission then, the pipeline coming from that reservoir will be able to have sufficient volume, not necessarily requiring this reservoir to be very high. Unfortunately, the reservoir had structural issues. That's why it has been decommissioned. I mean, we had a very lengthy conversation with rainwater. It was at the beginning of this issue appealing to say, is there no way that they can be able to recommission that reservoir? Because it will go a long way in assisting with this issue. So that conversation has been happening, and up to a point where they then managed to get their own expert structural engineers to really check, because we must understand the sensitivity of it. Reservoir has been certified to say they mustn't use it. They can't just wake up and say we are commissioning it. If something happens, it becomes a big issue. So we've been engaging with them around it. And the latest information that we've received yesterday, in fact, we received information a few weeks back where they've indicated that indeed the experts indicated that they can be able to commission, but they must run it at a very low level. They can't really feel it, at high level simply because there may be problems. So of course, there's processes that they needed to go through, which involve also engaging with the department around issues of the permission to recommission, because as you know, any storage that's more than 50 megaliters, you can't just fill it without necessary authorization of the department. So they went through all those processes, and the latest information that we received yesterday was that the department has accepted that they can be able to fill it. However, now they must start a process of making sure that XavierStreet first get to a right level where they can be able to release that water to Mayor's Hill. Because currently, in the morning, XavierStreet was at 20%. And immediately, if they just open XavierStreet or link Mayor's Hill, they're going to lose that reservoir, which the problem will be much bigger. So their communication with us this morning, they were indicating that once they get to about 35% or so at XavierStreet, they'll be able to recommission that particular reservoir. But of course, running it low so that we can be able to be at a point where we can be able to pump all the time, even though XavierStreet is lower than lower than the 30% that's required to create that necessary pressure on the line. So that's the background and the issue as to how the system works. It's not that we don't just want to run and open the water all the time. It's all these technicalities to say the system upstream, these two systems, South Hills as well as Crown Gardens, the bulk reservoirs that they rely on, there are certain technicalities or levels that this reservoir needs to be at so that we can this particular system can be able to function the way it's supposed to. That's how I can summarize it, Ian. And thank you.
Thank you very much, MMC, and thank you very much to the MD of Jo'burg Water. I will take a round of hands first from the audience.
Just on a point of order. I want to say something. We've come here for a meeting to deal with the technical issue. If we open it up now for discussion, we're going to have a complaint session. And I'm not sure that we are here for complaint session. I think many of us have been to the complaint session group altogether. We're not here for that. And in fact, we want to take you up, Mayor, on what you said. Let's form a technical team. Let's get to the technical issues. Because if we open this thing up, like I said, we are going to have chaos here. We are not going to get to the point that we will get to. And I want to appeal to all the residents here, guys. You know we've been through the route of protest and all of that kind of stuff. We seem to have got some type of opening or at least some, can I say, light at the end of the tunnel, and we have grabbed onto that light. And that light is what the mayor has proposed to us in a sense of creating this task team, this technical task team to start looking at the technical issues. If we open this thing up, like I said, it's just going to break down. So my appeal is, can we please get to the business of the day? And that is, let's get focused and specific. We allow this thing open, we're going to have no solution whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We've been through the sessions over and over again. It's only been a complaint session. We need to immediately form the task team. I think I've sent a WhatsApp to your office this morning to say we need that task team, get the right people on, because if you really look at the issues, it's coming from rainwater and it is a political. So we need to address that first before we can address anything else. And you need the community to assist because it's a community that's sitting without water. And I think we should start a task team and move on. Thank you. I second.
No, thank you very much. I think I will accede to the original format of the meeting. I acknowledge being called to order because that was the initial proposal, but I did not want it to appear as if I'm trying to suppress the views of the collective. And I'm saying this purely because we understand that the frustration is there. But as indicated earlier on, what I intend to do in this particular sitting is to ensure that by the time we leave, the technical task team is in place with the relevant parties that are going to proceed, firstly, with the oversight. There's a gentleman that that raised a critical issue in our previous meeting, saying that they are not being granted access to actually getting the water levels. That will then give a determination as to whether or not the media statements and the communication that is being issued from any of the two entities is actually correct, or is it a means to manage the community in their times of difficulty. I do not want this administration to be perceived as managing the community, especially when it comes to this water crisis. Hence, my view was that members of the community, not many members of the community, but those that can contribute effectively towards a solution, that are not going to hinder the process that would have been established here today, as we bear witness to that particular process. The COO in the city, who's responsible for all the entities, is here. He's the one that is going to chair that particular committee. He's going to chair that committee on the basis that he's not restricted. He's able to ensure that he takes the community through. Yes, come to the front. So this is the acting COO in the city. It's his mandate, together with the community. He's going to manage the process. He's going to, I don't know, interview the participants in the community to ensure that they do not make his role difficult, because in the main, he's the one that creates access. He does have access through the MMC support, MMC. And the managing director of Jo'burg Water is equally here to ensure that all the information that is required to be scrutinized in order for us to engage constructively on a solution. They are all here. We are not going to reach an immediate solution, but this is a process that we are starting to fast track whichever hurdles, whichever obstacles and barriers that may be in the way of us ultimately resolving this particular issue. I'm not saying this is the only approach that the city of Johannesburg is taking to correct this challenge that we are facing with water. The MMC slightly cited some of the discussions that are underway, and we think it's critical to insulate the city in some of the critical areas of service delivery that we as local government are responsible for. It does not make sense for us to sit here with you understanding that the problem lies elsewhere, and to keep telling you that we'll go back. We need to be accountable fully for the services, and we need to manage the process from start to finish. And that is our focus from now as this administration. And I am anticipating, MD, that report that we had spoken about. But we will continuously engage, and this is not the last that I'm attending any of the discussions. I will conduct proper oversight over the task team to ensure that there are no barriers. This is the highest level of escalation for any problem. And as a collective, I think we can find an amicable solution that works for all of us. I do not want to lead an administration that's going to fail. And the failure of the administration will be determined by whether or not we are able to collaborate with communities in finding solutions. So my commitment here is that we will provide the solutions that our communities need in partnership with the communities. Thank you. Cool. Councillors, I'm going to request that you have a discussion with the co, because you understand the community members better. Make a recommendation, and then he will then advise me on the composition of the task team. I am not from the community, and I cannot say that I understand the challenges that you are facing. I would be lying. So I need people that feel those challenges on a daily lived experience to be the ones that make the recommendations, so that it is not tainted in any form or way. And I'm hoping that the councillors would select people that are going to contribute effectively, people that are going to contribute meaningfully. I'm stating this in the presence of every community member here so that they understand that this is a clean, a fair, and it's not a tender. So there's no preference to anyone who will be selected. It's volunteering to provide a solution in partnership with the city. So that is the item that we are going to end off with. The city, the coup, will then give me a report a bit later on who the members are and what the terms of reference would be for the task team as recommended by the councillors that are from the ward and the affected areas within the vicinity. Thank you very much. So you and the councillors will have to have a discussion. Yeah, and then come up with that approach.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Executive Mayor, MMC, Managing Director. I understand the whole story that you've given us here, MD. Meredale is sitting at a level, Rand Water is responsible. Don't you think it's wise for us to engage or put somebody from Rand Water also on our task team? Because we need to understand why Meredale is so low. Why are we as city of Johannesburg are suffering? Because they are not supplying us sufficient water and causing us to be throttled all the time. So as a suggestion, I'd love Rand Water to come to the party, come to our task team and take us through it, because I need to understand why is my 15 streets not getting water? Because of Meredale that's pumping. Now I must throttle this reservoir in order to get water in every night. It's not fair, because that 15 streets don't get water at all. And it's for weeks now. So I would love Rand Water to come give us a clear indication as to why. Do they have problems on their side? Why are they not supplying us sufficient water? Thank you.
Afternoon, everybody. Leadership, thank you for coming. We really appreciate the fact that you stick your heads out and come. Mine are mainly, we talk about water shifting. Do we experience it? Have we experienced it? Has it come our way? I'm not sure. So that's the one. I also want to know, we talk about that we've got a allocated set of water or amount of water of, I think it's 1,600 kiloliters per day. Are we not looking at upping the quantity, because the area is getting filtrated with more and more people, more townhouse complexes? When was that allocation given to us? If I might have the figure wrong, but that's the one I have in my head. I hear about Station 5. I'm not sure what that is, where it is it functional? And then the minister spoke about that Station 5. So if you can just elaborate on that for me. And then let's just have that town hall meeting with, with a not a constructive team, but a team that's well informed. I'm not saying you are not, but I mean, we have the necessary expertise there that could relate the situation, because, and maybe I think in that one, Rand Water must also be there. Okay.
So,
We just agreed and we took a decision that we
Yes.
form the task team.
yes,
And the task team is going to then determine
yes.
what is it we can have in terms of reference, what is the concerns, and then what do we can take the next steps. If it's Rand Water, then we need to bring them. But I think I want to ask ours, let us appoint the task team. These councils have been given a duty. Appoint the task team in the next board, because we can continue.
I wanted to, in fact, respond to that when Councillor spoke. When she took the mic, I thought she was coming with the suggestion that can we kindly move out and have an engagement on that. Can I register this? The task team's responsibility is to represent the city through the necessary decision makers. I argue with the MD. The last time we were in a mayoral committee meeting and he was doing a presentation, my question to him was that why is 60% of your presentation talking about rainwater? Rainwater does not report to us. We do not have oversight over rainwater. Focus on the challenges that we as a city are facing. I'm not saying that we are going to solve them in the absence of rainwater. What I'm saying is this task team will specifically focus on the status quo of the city of Johannesburg and where rainwater needs to play a role so that we understand and there's a separation between the two spheres of government. Enough for the residents to have context. And it's not an issue for debate, it's an issue for providing solutions, which is the role of the task team. It's their role. And they are the ones that have to come back and inform us. The coup will inform me. And the members of the community would come back to the community in respective communicating channels that are conventional to the communities in informing community members of the progress that has been done. If there are challenges that we face, we don't face the challenges as the administration alone, but the community will then be able to give proper evidence to that regard. And when we decide to take a different approach, the community will then inform again on those particular issues. But these engagements have to be constant. We have to come and we have to evaluate the progress of the task team. We have to come back and we have to assess as to whether it's the right people that we've designated to achieve this on our behalf. And that's I think that would be our point of departure at this point, so that we can be able to enable community members to go and engage in other matters, having understood the fact that we've resolved on a task team that will represent us collectively. When I say I include the administration, the community, as well as the entity itself. So there's no one that's going to prevent the other party from gaining access to any form of communication or any form of information, because we are all there as a collective. So that is my request. FMC, you are a politician, so you are not going to be part of the task team, so forget it. So kindly engage with the councillors, and then the councillors will then inform on the approach, or maybe members of the community can elect. How many members are we recommending that we have on the task team? It doesn't have to be bloated with a lot of individuals that are there. It's in fact a task that is given. It's not an empowerment opportunity of any sort. So I think that also needs to be cited clearly. I think the councillor would like to comment, and then you can come in afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, MMC, MD, and Ku. I appreciate the fact that you all came out, you all came to listen to us. Every councillor that's sitting here came with their 2 people like you requested. We do have our people here. But I also want to bring to your attention the reason why these councillors was asking questions is because sometimes we don't get the questions that is due to us. We have residents here also that need answers, and we cannot be oppressed to say, do not answer, carry on with the work of the day. This is part of the work of the day here that we need answers for. And I also want to, my other question will be to the coup as well. Once you have these names of the task team, how soon will the meeting start? What will be the requirements? What will be the terms of reference? Because we can't have meetings upon meetings upon meetings, whereas our people do not have water. That's why we are here. Even more areas is affected. Yes, and I do appreciate all the explanations that was given to us. Every time we have these meetings, whatever we hear, we go back to our communities and we tell them. But the communities is so angry already with us. They don't even want to believe us what we are saying anymore. So my plea will be, let the task team be formed as soon as possible and let us start with the work of the day. We cannot really waste more time here. Our people are dying out there. This is a crisis, and it's a huge, huge crisis. It's bigger than anything else. We can live with load shedding. We cannot live with water. So really, we are in dire need here, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. You may proceed.
I think mine was just a simple thing. I think, just want to mention, I think there's 4 wards being represented here. And, we don't have to make this thing a long drawn out session. The councillors can just give their 2 representatives from each ward, and I think we can move on.
Thank you very much. I think, councillors, you will have the discussion with the COUs here. Collectively with those particular members, that I think they are here as well. Hence, I was indicating the fact that we are resolving on the composition of the task team so that we don't take away time from the process that needs to unfold. We are here simply to register the fact that this is our way forward that we are proposing. But the way forward is not the establishment of the task team. It's the terms of reference that the task team will be using to come up with results that the community requires. And that has to happen in the immediate. The reason why the COO is the one that will be chairing is to ensure that the resources that are required to be redirected, to be repurposed, the decision is taken when necessary. That is the serious nature of this particular problem that we are faced with. It's not a facade that we came here to display to the community in trying to demonstrate the fact that we want to do something, but we are doing something, and we are hoping the results will be delivered in the immediate. Ku, I'm holding you to this. I am really holding you to this. I think there are 2 councillors at the back that wanted to deposit certain comments. There's are you a ward committee member? Let me not suppress anyone, and then I'll come to you, sir, and then we'll close at that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, MMC, MD. So yes, my proposal for the technical task team, as was at the last meeting, is that we have 2 representatives per area affected. I've got my 2 community members here that I'm nominating for the task team. MD, just one thing, I hear what you're saying about the Mayor's Hill Reservoir, but in 2020, there was a 12-day outage for the area supplied by the South Hills Reservoir, and that was when the Mayor's Hill Reservoir was in commission, and that was blamed to the level that the Mayor's Hill Reservoir was at. Now, I hear we're going to recommission it, but at a low level, but we have to look at what actually went wrong in 2020 as well. So I'm worried that we might need to have to dig a little bit deeper into this issue. So, and then so a plea is, I've got some water leaks I've reported months ago, and they're just not been attended to. So we talk about low levels of reservoirs, but all our water is actually running into the streets. Thank you.
Cool. Have you taken note? Thank you. Councillor.
Good day, Executive Mayor, MMC officials, fellow councillors, residents. I'm Mr. Mayor from Ward 58, which is supplied by the commando system. I'm hearing we're talking about a task team. Are you going to include residents from my ward and the neighboring wards on that end? Because the commando system has been as fairly hit as this system, maybe even worse. So are we just putting a task team together in this area because our residents took to the streets and protested? Or are we serious and are going to include the whole of Johannesburg? Water shortages are an issue across the city of Jo'burg. So that's just I need clarity on that. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
My apologies, I did not recognize you.
Sorry.
There's a gentleman behind you that needed to speak.
Oh, yeah?
Thank you.
Thanks, the mayor, MMCs, residents of different wards that are here. My proposal on the task team is to maybe if we can look at the background of people that will compromise on that team. We need some technical skills and technical know-how in dealing with the issues that we are currently have now. for us to just to select anyone that does not have the technical skills that is required and the understanding of the problems that we have, it will take us back to square one. Thanks.
Thank you very much. There was a
Sorry,
hand on this side
that
as
was
well.
exactly what I was going to ask you.
That, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, can I also note that the hand was there, sir? Unfortunately, this is going to be the last hand. I will try to give a way forward. Oh, Councillor, yes. I might try to assist in some of the issues that may emanate from the floor, but let me allow you the floor to engage, and then I will then respond. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to everyone who has attended. If I can suggest and share the sentiment by a few of the community members that if we can establish a task team and maybe make our way and proceed to the necessary sites so we can move on with this.
Thank you very much. I think just to respond to the representation from other regions as well. The reason why it is, the reason why councillors have brought 2 representatives is as a result of a meeting that we had last week. And this was a solution that I was coming up with, but the solution is not limited to the region. Hence, it's not the regional director that is here that will chair the meeting, but it's the COO. And COO in collaboration with CRAM. And CRAM has representation everywhere. This is not me depriving you of an opportunity to recommend 2 names. We will proceed with the establishment of the task team with the members that would have been provided in this session. But I will allow you an opportunity to also bring 2 members. As I've alluded to the fact that it's not a necessity that we have a bloated structure, but we have a structure that will have a clear mandate. You can sit in the meeting and you can provide inputs on the terms of reference. The terms of reference will ensure that you are covered in one form or the other, whether you have members that are represented or whether you have deposited critical terms of reference that will deal with the situations that your area is facing, councillor. But equally so, there is a regional service delivery, or rather regional accelerated service delivery program. I'm in Region C this week. I'm going to all the 7 regions in the city of Johannesburg. And in those discussions with communities, it's there whereby there'll be constructive engagements, because the challenges that we face, although there are certain common elements to it, but they are diverse in nature. Now, those engagement, those stakeholder engagements will serve to direct the city towards fixing the unique challenges that each region has in relation to service delivery. Because in this side, it could be water leakages. In, let's say, Region G, that there is previously disadvantaged. It would be opening of clinics, issuing of occupational certificates that are required from development planning. Now, the diverse nature of the issues that we need to be addressing will vary. It might not be the only task team that has been established, but this is an attempt at a collaborated effort with communities to find a solution to a common and a devastating challenge that we are faced with. So I hope I have responded, but should there be any information that you would require, Council, the COO is here, and he will accede to the demand of the leadership that has been elected to specific wards, because that's your constituency at the end of the day, and you need to ensure you represent them as best you can. And the executive is there to render the support that is required and to ensure that we deliver for our residents in a dignified manner. I apologize. I'm not going to take any more names so that I'm able to give enough time for the task team to be established. Do you want to come in, Go? Okay.
Good afternoon, Executive Mayor, MMC. Good afternoon to the councillors present, MD, as well as the members of the community. EM, I think I would like to touch on one of the most of the issues with regard to an issue that was raised by the gentleman there, and that's regard to the composition of the members that are going to be representing the ward. And, you know, I speak from experience, having been in a couple of these technical task team. The issue we have there is the composition of the task team itself when it comes to the ward representation. My humble pleas to the councillors. Councillors, we note the dynamics in every single ward, and we also note the composition of the community as well. The issue that we have experienced in these technical task teams is an issue where the nominated people are not the people that are nominated by the community. So my humble plea in that regard is please go back to your wards. Have those ward meetings with those members. Let the community nominate the relevant people. Because we do not want a situation where once we get the community the committee running, a situation where you have the community coming back to complain that those are not the people who they had nominated to either represent them or the people that were tasked to enter this task team. I think I wouldn't want to labor more on it, EM, but that is a humble plea. Let those names be names chosen by the community, considering the dynamics or the diverse nature of the communities and the wards themselves. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Ku. But I would like to try and assist in that regard. My request for a meeting that I had called last week was specific. To say it's a closed meeting, because this is not a conventional process where we duly elect representatives. It is us responding with agility to a critical problem. And this is not a structure that is cast in stone. I did not want to prolong the solution that is required for the community. That was first. Secondly, I knew that when it is a limited number of participants in the meeting, then we are able to efficiently start working based on what had been recommended. Because I would assume that ward councillors would have brought people that are leaders in their communities, not to represent the community, but to participate in a process that seeks to find solutions. Hence, I indicated earlier that this is a service delivery issue and we can't politicize it. I'm not going to allow room for there to be any disruption on the basis that someone was not elected. That's not going to happen. What has been resolved upon is what is going to happen. And when there's future task teams that need to be undertaken, because the terms of reference will be established now with you and the councillors. And it's a structure that can be disbanded at any given moment. But our people need to understand the objective of us having to take decisions of this nature. And decisions of this nature do not require democracy for us to provide solutions for the outcries of the communities. But if you are going to place impediments on processes that are agile, that I seek to bring to the community, then I might as well distance myself and allow conventional process to unfold. And then it's going to be a situation where you cast aspersions and you say the executive mayor does not care about what we're going through. The names that will be provided are the names that will be used to formulate the task team. You will give me a report on the terms of reference, the start date, what the scope of the operations are going to be, what the requirements are, and you'll give me timeframes. You will conduct oversight. May I kindly conclude, sir, so that I can assist with the solutions that the communities need? Can I kindly conclude so that I can? I will allow you.
Setting up this task, which is fair enough, in quick rush, okay? What time frame are you giving them to report back to us? That's crucial as well. Okay? I totally agree with what the CEO has said, that the ward councillors must have a ward committee meeting. And from that ward committee meeting, those people should actually select 2 people. Okay, these councillors had no ward committee meetings.
May I assist, sir? I'm trying to assist. And in me assisting you, by extension, I'm hoping that I'm assisting the community as well. This is not a formal process that is legislated by council. It's an agile executive decision that is my prerogative to take for your benefit.
Doing them 6 weeks, 2 weeks, 7 days. What time frame?
So the task team is going to be established today. It's not a dialogue.
I want to know what time frame. 7 days, 14 days, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 months. That's what we need. It's an urgency. So these people got to get on board and start working the minute we leave here. And I mean, that's how our task team works.
There is my commitment to the community. I hold no conflicting views to the comments that you are depositing, but allow me to assist, as I have alluded to earlier on. The task team will be formulated upon adjournment of this meeting. The task team will have a composition of affected community members, just like yourself, sir, who understand the urgency of them finding these solutions. I do not know the extent of the terms of reference that they would highlight that still need to be approved. But the coup is here to ensure that the community's frustrations are not voiced out on the street, but they are voiced out in a constructive, solution-based manner that is going to be implemented in the immediate. They will then, the same way, I'm sure you and I can agree that the invitation to attend the meeting, you did not receive it from me, but you received it through an effective communication channel that reached you wherever you were. So the community members and the councillors that are part of the conventional communication methods that exist will use the same approach to ensure that information gets to the relevant community members, because this is not for me. This is by the community, for the community. The coup is just an enabler of a process that seeks to provide the solutions that you need. So I'm hoping humbly that I have responded to the issue of the timeframes, but communication will come from the task team will comprise of different responsibilities there. And amongst them will be communication, management. I don't know what kind of roles they will be playing, but I'm going to have a conversation with the coup in the afternoon to give me a report. And I will ensure that the coup's office communicates effectively, which is what is of utmost importance, effective communication on what has been agreed upon together with the councillors. The councillors insisted that I come to the community to assist them come up with a solution. This was the best that I could do within a short space of time. And I'm requesting that you allow the opportunity to unfold and for us to be able to explore possibilities that could mitigate the challenges that we are faced with. And hence, I've indicated that this is not a legislated process. And I do not want to constrain them. I want them to do the right thing. Councillors are there to conduct oversight. The coup is there to ensure that he's accountable to all of us. So the time frame that you are looking for, I'm hoping that when the coup tells me, it will also be effectively communicated to the group so that when you go to sleep, you have a sense of what is expected of the task team. Thank you very much. I appreciate, I know that there are a lot of questions that community members would like to ask. And it's not out of a sinister mindset that I would request that we proceed with the establishment of the task team. but it's for the sake of progress. Because me engaging here is further delaying what you are hoping to achieve from this meeting. But I would also equally like to extend my gratitude for your patience, for your understanding, and for your willingness to give the government an opportunity to collaborate in a solution. We are here to play our role. I haven't made mention of the fact that this is an inherited problem that we have, but I'm coming here with an understanding that we are going to have to collaborate in finding a solution. And I'm entrusting the leadership in the area to be the ones that are going to guide in the critical issues that we need to focus in. With that having been said, I would like to officially declare the meeting closed and allow the councillors and the COO an opportunity to establish the task team so that they can engage on the terms of reference, report back to the conventional communication channels that you have established to allow communities access to information. I do not want to have influence over the information that is shared with the community. Whatever you have made a determination on, that's what needs to be communicated so that we understand the status quo for what it is. Hence, it needs to be as independent as possible. And we need to prioritize, like one of our priorities, which is good governance, MMC. Once again, thank you very much, and we appreciate your patience. Thank you.